Howdy again, it's Mr. Pete, your YouTube shop teacher, and it's nearing the end of August 2020 and it's time for another episode of my This and That series, and this is episode number 56. Have a lot of things to tell you, primarily viewer appreciation gifts, so let's get started with it. I made a video some time ago, and that was shop tips number 315, where I spliced a belt. And I do not remember if I used this belt lacer or that larger one. But anyway, a man by the name of Ralph Marion was watching that just recently. And in that video, I had mentioned from a long time ago that I have all kinds of belt lacing, but it's all of the larger sizes, except for a few little rusty pieces in the smaller box. But primarily big lacing for big, thick belts, including this number 4.5 stainless steel, although those aren't terribly big. But so he decided to send me a care package, and he did, and thank you for that, Ralph. Let's take a look at it. I really appreciate it when somebody sends me something like this, because this cost $13 in postage. But in there are clipper belt lacings number 3, a whole box, and number 2. And you can see that these are the smaller ones that would be appropriate for a South Bend or a Logan lathe belt or something like that. And also in here there is a little gauge telling you what size to use for what size belt. Maybe I'll take a picture of this and put that in the stills at the end. Always take a look at the stills at the end if you would, please. But thanks, Ralph. So next time I got to repair a belt, I got my lacer. Go back and watch that number 315 if you've never seen that, how this is used. But when you need this, you really need it. But you don't need it very often. John Wasner from up Minnesota way sent me some of these beautiful replacement tags, charts, to go on South Bend machines. Several brass and then several are aluminum. I hope that one or more will fit on my lathe to replace the worn and stained ones. Very nicely made. So thank you, John. Extremely nicely made. Every bit as nice, I think, as the originals. Thanks to Tony Perillo down Texas way for sending me this Starrett protractor head. A little bit hard to read. Possibly had some rust on it and someone removed it. But still, a decent example of a Starrett protractor. So thanks to you, Tony, for that. And it's quite a while ago that he sent this to me, and I'm just now responding. I had been whining about the poor quality of American-made and probably foreign-made pencils not too long ago. And you might recall in a recent video that from Josh Parker, he sent me a nice box of Mitsubishi high-end pencils. Well, then I get a package in the mail the other day along with a nice letter, and it's from Bill Mullins, and he sent me a sample pack of Musgrove pencils. And in the letter he explained that there were an awful lot of these pencils, and this company is located in Tennessee, I believe, yeah, Shelbyville, Tennessee. There were a lot of cedar trees down there, so there were many pencil factories, but Musgrove is still there, and these are various grades and hardnesses and everything, so I'll be sampling those, and sure appreciate that, Bill. Thank you very much. Thank you to Jake Waters for sending me this vintage copy of Lufkin Precision Tools. It's catalog number 7, which I think they used for many years, but I love the engravings in these older books. But within the pages also was a flyer of the Lufkin Mighty Mite magnetic tools, and I knew that they made indicator holders, but I didn't know that they made them with magnifying glasses and lights and a host of other little features, even a demagnetizer. So I think I'll run photos of this and put it on the stills at the end. So that's kind of awesome. And I wonder if there's a date on this. I don't see a date, but they don't show a zip code, so it's pre-1962 or whenever. In a recent video I talked about magnification and lighting and things like that, and then I received shortly a nice package in the mail from Alex Ackley that contained this headlight, I'm going to call it, and he said they're $14 from Amazon. And I really like this. I won't use it around the shop. I'll be using it in bed, in motels and so on, but it's got a high and a little bit lower, and then the flashing light I don't like, and I do appreciate the fact that there's no stupid green and red lights or anything like that. That's a total waste of time. Because when you go to a cheap motel, one that used to be a Holiday Inn and now it's been resold and Holiday Inn built a decent one, so they, instead of tearing it down, somebody buys these, and their business plan is this. They change all the light bulbs to 15 watt, and then they fire 3/4 of the housekeeping staff because it costs way too much to keep the place clean, and they have no intentions of keeping it even slightly clean. Rub your white towel on the floor, the carpeting sometime, and you'll see how black it is, and you know, you'll never want to stay there. Oh, totally sidelined. But anyway, I like to use this for reading when I don't have a decent reading lamp, but I think I'll have to make a modification because on the back is the battery pack, which will press up against the pillow and will prove, I'm sure, uncomfortable. So I'll probably move that off to the side, and thank you, Alex, for that. I think it'd be good for coon hunting too, maybe. We used to wear a carbide lamp. All right, let's move on. So there it is if you're interested, and one thing I like about it, they don't have the stupid green and red lights, which I can't see that there's any possible need for it ever. Many times over the years you've heard me lament the fact that there's really no screw size between a number 10 and a 1/4 20. So that's really quite a big jump from 3/16 to 1/4. Well, wrong. There is a number 12, but they're kind of hard to find. You will find them at McMaster-Carr and places like that, but that kind of fills the gap. Now, really it would be nice if there was yet one more size, and when you go into some of the model making type of threads, like the BA system, they're very, very close together. But I was wishing, I might have said this one time, I wish there was a 1420. Well, thank you, Mike Cabot, and Mike sent me a little box of what he calls 1420 taps. Well, in fact, and I don't know where these came from, but they are 1/4 20. They are lacking the little line, and at first I thought, oh great. But I did take one of these and I tapped a hole in this aluminum, and sure enough, they are 1/4 20, but they call them 1420. Apparently there is no such thing as a 1420 and never has been. I looked in all kinds of machinist books and threading books and I could not find it, so I think that's just their way of labeling it, or should I say mislabeling it, because it is 1/4 20. But I thank you, Mike, for your thoughtfulness anyway, and I guess I'm still looking for something in between. Now there's a 1024 tap along with the 1024 screw and the 1/4 20 and 1/4 20 screw, and then of course this is a 1224. Hard to find, but I do have plenty of taps in that size, 1224. There were a lot of good resources available for teachers, and Kevin Losey from over in Iowa sent me this worksheet that would have come out of a student notebook or something like that, but these were published. This was published by Hobart Publications of St. Paul, but it's a worksheet on the parts and then how to read a micrometer and a place for the student's name and all that. So thank you for that, Kevin. I used to see a lot of this kind of thing when I was teaching. Ray Jaramillo has sent me a lot of things from Denver, Colorado, and he claims that he particularly enjoys my videos, and thank you so much for that. I think you give me more credit than I'm worth, but he gave me another handful of books here. This one is all about tubing, and I think more for pipe fitters and oil well drillers and things like that. Here's Ropp's new calculator. Well, new, it's probably from 1910, and but there are charts, mathematical charts. And when I started college, I had to buy a book of tables because we didn't have calculators yet, and they were very useful. Now everything can be done on a scientific calculator. You don't need these, but here's a nice book. Nicholson put out a lot of books on their file, a lot of different covers, but I think the contents are about the same. They just changed the cover. And do not ever forget the value of a good sharp file. It's so a wonderful tool, and so is a hacksaw blade. Here's one on Connor spade drills. And then he gave me a copy of the American Machinist Handbook. This is the 7th edition by McGraw-Hill, and this came from, I believe it's the Denver, city of Denver. A little bit rough shape. And I do have the 8th edition, also not in particularly good shape and with quite a bit of water damage. Good reference books. Something you won't use real often, but nice to have in your professional library. And here's the American Machinist's Handbook, which really is, I guess, the same book. But that's the 2nd edition. Look at the difference in thickness. 2nd edition. From 1914, and the one that Ray just sent me is from 1940. Now here's quite a treasure of a book sent to me by Paul Campbell from Canada, and he was a veterinarian and he's a machinist and all of that, and he told me all about his life, and there's a bunch of pictures of him and his shop that I'm going to post at the end of this video, so be sure and check them out. But I had never heard of Cherry's model engines, and of all things, it's a woman. Now, we don't think of women as model makers, but her works are absolutely fabulous beyond belief, and this is a $40 or a $50 book that he sent me, and I thank you so much. But there she is, and I'll do a couple close-ups also. There she is on the front of a cover of a magazine, and as a little bit younger woman. Now, I think she's still living in England, I believe. But let me take a close-up of this picture here, and you'll see the kind of work that she did or does, and spent years typically on one model. So that is really amazing, and I thank you, Paul, for sending me the beautiful book. And I'm going to read it cover to cover here. And stand by for some pictures after the last segment here. I'm just about done. I know it's been a long video. So this is Paul Campbell in his shop. He has a beautiful shop. And I can see he's quite a housekeeper. Far better than me. And there's his Myford lathe. And his milling machine, and this one is from England. And he's involved in the various steam clubs up there in Canada. And there's one of the engines. and some of the parts. Now, you often see me in my videos wearing a genuine optivisor, and I have 3 of them. But you will also see me with this generic one that I picked up at an auction. There's no brand name on it, and I never could figure out who made it. But it really is my favorite because it's lightweight, lighter than these, and it has Velcro in the back instead of the knob, so I can wear it in bed. I know we're back to bed again, but you know, when you get old, you'll be talking more about your jammies and your bed also. So, half hour ago, the UPS man came, and let me show you what he brought. And yes, this is from the wicked Amazon, which we are loving to hate as they destroy our retail industry. But I ordered this for $9.95, I think it was, you know, and free shipping. And here it is, it's the exact same one. And it's got the magnifier, which I probably will never use, and the double lens here, which is missing out of my other one. And again, Velcro. And I will talk more about this in another video because I'm going to give it a test run, although I think I know all about it, but I really do like these. Alright, that concludes this video. Stand by for lots of still pictures. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.